What up, y'all? It's DJ Envy.
And I am Gia Casey.
And we are the Casey crew. And right now, you're tuned into BallerAlert.
What's up, guys? It's your girl, Angie B with BallerAlert. We are here with DJ Envy and Gia Casey. We have a lot to discuss, so let's get into it. First of all, how are you guys doing?
Oh, we're wonderful.
We're doing great.
Thank you for asking.
I just want to shout out to BallerAlert. BallerAlert shows us a lot of love. So we just want to say we appreciate you guys for outside of the messiness, but you guys show our family a lot of love. So we just want to say always thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We love you guys. We adore you guys. And thank you so much for, sharing your story, releasing your book, Real Life, Real Love, Life Lessons on Joy, Pain, and the Magic That Holds Us Together. I mean, the book is raw, authentic, and it's filled with some very great stories. But I have to first start by saying the dedications in the beginning of the book are absolutely beautiful. Envy, your dedication to Gia and you wrote it in the most beautiful, poetic way. And Gia, your dedication to your mother who unexpectedly passed from Alzheimer's in 2021 was super heartwarming. It's really tough when, a spouse or anyone loses a parent. So how did you all navigate during that time in your relationship?
Well, you talk about when her mom passed?
Yes.
Yeah, so her mom was a very, very big part of our relationship. So for most people that don't know, when Gia and I used to get into arguments, because Gia and I have been together since 16 and 15, so we grew up with each other. Our families grew up with each other. So when we would get into arguments, where most people, you call your boys, I'm sure girls, you call your girl, me and Gia's mom would talk. So me and Gia's mom would talk on the phone, all the stuff about what we didn't like about Gia. And we were the same issues. Right. There was at that time, and we're both Virgos. So we had the same notion on everything. And then not only that, most people don't know when I first started DJing, my parents, who I love, shout out to my parents, who are still alive now. But after going to Hampton University, they wanted me to get a job with a hat. They said real job. And I didn't understand it at the time. I was like, no, I want to DJ. And they were like, no, you need a job with retirement and, health coverage, things to protect you. And I didn't get it, until I became an adult and a parent. And my son says he wants to do that. And I'm still like, yes, what about this? And I think that's the reason I work so hard, because we want them to enjoy their life and do what they want to do before. And they do need health coverage, or they do need a retirement that dad is creating that generational wealth for them so they can just be happy. And I think that's probably part of which I'm just thinking now why we bust our ass so much, because of my parents' conversation. But I just remember Gia's mom saying, look, do what you want to do. And if there's ever an issue or problem with money, you come to me. If you ever need a place to stay, y'all live with me. If y'all ever need a babysitter or anything, y'all come to me. So she was always very strong in our life, to the point where, when we bought our first house, I think we were a couple dollars short. And she was like, here's a check, no problem. Go ahead, do what you got to do. And she was always that way.
Our
always,
wedding,
yeah.
Anything.
She was very supportive, like a big, huge supporter of me and Gia. And when Gia and I would get into an argument, she would call Gia and be like, leave poor Rashawn alone. It was like that. Like she was always that. So when she had dementia.
Rashawn was always poor Rashawn.
Yeah,
poor Rashawn this time.
Poor Rashawn works too hard. Poor Rashawn, like that's how it was.
Yeah.
So when it came to her mom and she had dementia, it was never an issue or thought about, she's staying here. Like, she had dementia and we took her to Dubai, where she wouldn't understand or forget about it when she got home, but we wanted her to live in the moment. Like we bought plane tickets that were $10,000 a first class seat. We could have put her in the back. She wouldn't have remembered, but we wanted her to have those memories. And that's what it was about her. Like she was there. So when she got into the stages of dementia and couldn't remember or was having problems, I was there like she was my mom. Like whatever I had to do, if I had to clean up the mess, we cleaned up the mess. If I had to take her to a doctor's appointment, we cleaned up the doctor's appointment. We still did flowers on Mother's Day and gifts on her birthday. It didn't matter. But as long as she felt good in that moment, that's all that I cared about. So, she's very, 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 very missed. And not only from us, but from her grandbabies, because she was in the house. So they would see grandma, they would play with grandma. She used to wrestle with them and play kickball. So, and she was until like she really got sick, probably to a month out. Like she was like grandma, like she's playing kickball. I remember one time I'm hearing her yell and scream, and I run downstairs, and I'm thinking that my son Jackson is beating her up, but they did wrestling, and she's laughing and joking. And I'm like, Ma, you're over 70 years old. But that's who she was as a person, and she will always be missed.
He loved her like a mother. My mother loved him like a son. Truly, truly.
Oh, that's beautiful. It really sounds like she had a very youthful, spirit. And that's always good to hear when I hear that about older people. So thank you for sharing that. And I often say that, our parents are learning just like us. This is their first time parenting. It's your first time parenting. They need a little bit of grace. And I feel like sometimes we don't see that at first, but now that you all are parents, what is something that you feel like you can give your parents a little more empathy towards?
I'll start, because me growing up and her growing up was totally different. My dad is a retired police officer, so he was very strict and very wanted to know where I'm at, make sure I'm safe. And as a kid, I didn't understand that. Why I can't go out. Why I can't do what they do? Why I can't go to the club?
Why I can't take the train?
Why can't I take the train? Why I can't do these type of things at night? Why? My friends could do it, but now I'm a dad, and I have a 20-year-old daughter that lives in New York that goes to NYU.
Who can't take the train?
Can't. I got an 18-year-old that rides around in his car, his nice car, and I feel the same way. Like, I cannot take the train. She cannot. I don't care if she has to go 3 stops. You are not taking that train. That's just my comfortability and my safety. And I look at it like this, and I'm not throwing money in anybody's face, but if daddy can afford a Ferrari to drive around, if daddy has all these businesses, if I got to spend $30 for an Uber, that's for my comfortability and the fact that I can sleep. You know what I mean? So I understand that now, being a father. Same thing with my son, having a black boy driving these nice cars in the street and driving through different areas and getting pulled over. So now, when I used to mouth off to the police and why are you pulling me over? Why the F? And now I see that with him. I'm like, no, like my dad used to tell me, shut up, make it home. I can fight. We can fight if you make it home. But if you don't make it home, I lose you. Make it home first, and then let's break down what we need to break down. And I tell the same thing to my son. I didn't understand it when I was a younger kid, when I was a teenager. I had no clue. But now with him, I understand it completely. Make it home. Make it home. I need to hold you, touch you, hug you, love you, kiss you. Then we figure out what we have to do,
Right. And how was it for you?
Well, both of my parents are no longer here. My father passed away when I was 19. And as you said, my mother passed away a year ago next month. But my parents were amazing. They were right there with me every step of the way throughout my entire life. And they poured a lot into me. And, for me, the biggest compliment that someone can give me is to say, oh, you're just like your mom, or you're just like your dad, because they were the people that I admired growing up. I don't really have like a fanatic personality. Like, I never looked to celebrities as a role model, or artists or athletes or anything like that. I looked to my parents. When I needed guidance, I looked to my parents. I would sit down and talk to my dad for 2 or 3 hours in his den. And, he would just tell me stories of his life and teach me lessons. And I was always so inquisitive, and I would ask questions and he would answer all my questions. And, my mom would teach me, how to be a young girl, how to be a woman. She would teach me the shortcuts. She would teach me everything that I needed to know. She instilled self-esteem and confidence. My parents always complimented me. They really made me feel as though I was loved. So, whereas Rashawn had parents that, like, you can't do this, you can't do that. But my parent, and he may have, felt a way about it. When my parents told me I couldn't do something, it was fine, because I knew that they wanted me to live my best life. So if they were telling me that there was something that maybe I shouldn't be doing or I shouldn't want to do, then I'm like, oh, well, damn it to hell. That must not be for me. It's not the cards for me, because they want the best for me. And a lot of parents say that they want the best for you, but I knew my parents wanted the best for me. So there was that trust there. So my parents didn't really need that grace. They always had my grace.
Oh, now that was beautifully said, Gia. That was beautifully said.
Thank you.
I love that. So elegant. And I feel like I have the same relationship with my parents and growing up. And today is their 29th anniversary. So it's really exciting.
God bless them.
Nice.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. But same thing. I always knew my parents had my best interest at heart, and they always explained things to me thoroughly. So I really didn't have questions, but I was very inquisitive anyway. But I did trust. Yeah, I trust. I knew that they knew what they were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Now, turning your life experience into learning tools for not only yourselves, but readers is not an easy task. What was the most challenging part about writing this book?
I mean, for myself, is reliving my old me, because it's, some of these stories are 25 years old. Some of these stories are 10 years old. So you have to relive that. And when you relive that and you put it in a book, and I mean, you do press, so you know what the press attaches to, it has to be reliving. And then, that's the difficult part, because it's not what I did. It's, now being older and really reflecting on it and trying to evolve and be even a better person, you realize how much it hurt my spouse. You know what I mean? So some of those things, we talked about in the book, or we talk about when we have gatherings, and it's funny, right? We can laugh about it. But then when you're writing a book and you're really breaking down the story and you realize, damn, I really did that. Damn, I really put her through that. Damn, I was like that. And it's difficult, because it's like, damn, I did this to my friend. I did this to my best friend. I did this to my wife. I did this to my lover. And, at the time I didn't know, you don't really realize what you're doing, but going back and writing the book and then going back and doing the audible version where you have to read it and you're talking and you're breaking it down in your head, and you just want to be like, nigga, what the fuck is wrong with you at that age? But you can't. So that was part of the reason why we wrote that book. So hopefully my feelings, if somebody can read that, or somebody's girl can read that and pass it on to maybe their man and be like, damn, this is what Envy did. It took him this long to evolve and to realize what he was doing. So hopefully a lot of brothers out there can, have those same conversations early and don't have to do some of the stupid ish I did.
Gia, what about you?
I think, well, I'm an open book, self-admitted open book. It wasn't difficult for me to write the book, because for my portion, I wrote the book with purpose. And that's really what carried me through. That's what enabled me to share the things that we shared. And we've been inundated with questions like, why would you put that in the book? Why would you share that? Certain things should remain personal between husband and wife, don't you think? And I understand that. And that might work for a private person, but my purpose dictated differently. Our purpose in writing the book was to share. We've gone through the mud. We've had very, very amazing things happen in our relationships, and we've had horrible things happen in our relationship, but we've weathered those storms. And there's a lot to learn in the way that we weathered those storms. And I wish that there was some type of tangible guide. And my parents were very instrumental in my take on relationships, but my parents weren't particularly spiritual. So for instance, keeping God at the pinnacle of your relationship, honoring God and letting God guide those steps. And when you allow that to happen, then you inadvertently honor each other because your loyalty is to God. I wasn't taught that in the scope of a relationship, in the scope of a marriage. Had I had a book like ours to refer to teach me that, we may have not misstepped in the ways that we misstepped in our relationship, because we would have had something that was like a little relationship Bible. Like, these are the things that we need to do. And our book is very approachable. It's not someone dictating to you. It's telling you what we've learned through our experiences, through our stories. We pose it as questions. There are lists. There are things that allow for our readers to self-reflect, to analyze themselves. And it's not just for people in relationships or that hope to be in relationships. It's also something that provokes you to reflect on self, just you all by yourself. What am I missing? How can I be better? What should I be thinking about at the time when I want to get into a relationship? So it wasn't difficult for me to write the book, because that purpose drove me to share and be transparent and to be vulnerable. But it was difficult, I have to say, going through some of the sections with Rashawn because it wasn't easy. And there were a lot of things that I really had to drag out of him, that I had to pull out of him, because it would be a lot easier to say, all right, well, I told the story, I said what happened, but the meat and potatoes is, how did you feel? The hows, the whys. That's where the value is. And that's what people are going to learn from.
Oh, I love that. I love that. A relationship guide. And I think that that's really important for, our generation, millennials, anybody who's reading that book and looking for a healthy relationship, especially, grounded in God, and grounded in your own individual relationship with God. What is something that you have, spoken to your kids about in regards to dating, and how they kind of navigate that? I mean, times are so different now than they were before.
Yeah, I mean, the cool thing I would say with us is we're so open and honest with our kids. Like, you talk about your mom and your dad. I don't know, how old is your mom and dad, if you don't mind me?
No, you're fine. My dad is 56. My mom is 55.
Okay. So, we came from, and I don't know what your relationship is, but we came from a place where we didn't do any of this stuff my parents did, right? We didn't listen to the same music. We listened to it because we had to, like, the Temptations and the OJs and the old Motown. We listened to that because it was on in the house. But when we left, we wasn't like, yo, turn the Temptations on. We weren't like that. But for our generation and our kids, we listen to the same music. We do the same things.
We go to the same
clubs. I'm DJing the club that my daughter's going to. Yeah. So it's like a different connection, which is better. So for instance, when I took my daughter to her first club, it's more of a tutorial. It's more of a, hey, if you get a drink, cover the drink with your hand. Make sure nobody puts nothing in your drink. Why, Dad? This is the reason why. Okay. Make sure that you actually buy a drink and you see the bartender pour it. Little things like that. Okay. Hey, babe, the front door is there, but if there's a shooting or something happened in the club, where's another door? Not to say you got to ask security, excuse me, where's the back door? But just look at your surroundings. Oh, you see it's an exit sign there? So you know how to get out that way. You know where the DJ booth is just in case you got to run and duck and hide. These are the things we're able to discuss with our daughter. Same thing with our son. Hey, for instance, something small.
You about to put his business in the street.
I don't care.
We wrote a book, not him. Don't put his business in the street.
Just a little bit. So, the other day, Logan, his girlfriend was by the house. And, mind you, I have cameras all over my house. So if something moves outside, I get a text. I'm looking immediately. So I see the young lady. I see Logan walk out the garage, and I see the young lady walk to her car. And I'm like, Logan, why you ain't walking to her door? He goes, that's cap. We don't do that. We don't do that. I said, first of all, you're going to talk to me with complete sentences. That's the first thing. I don't know. That cat, we ain't on gang, no. It ain't on nothing. Walk that lady to the front. Walk a lady to the car. Nah, we don't do that. Well, we do that in this house.
It's like, who's we?
This is what we do. This is what the KC crew does. You walk her to her front door. I said, if a bear come out and rip her, what you going to do? You going to close the garage door?
Well, we live in the woods. So.
I'm like, what you going to do? He's like,
there are bears.
But those are the conversations we really have, where it's like, you have to be a gentleman. You have to be a man. You have to do that, because if you don't do it, somebody.
When we got married, I was 22 and he was 23. And we had Madison the same year. So there's only a 2-year difference between me and my daughter. So I'm teaching her from a place of relatability. When I'm giving her advice, she listens. And to be honest with you, sometimes I have to watch what I say, because Rashawn will tell you, he feels as though I influence her too heavily, because anything that I say to her, she almost takes as gold. Oh, if mommy said it, that's what it is. Oh, I need to break up with him. Oh, that means I need to break up with him. Guess what? My mom said that it's over. So it's over. I see you when I see you. It's kind of like that. So I kind of have to watch my words with her. But even my son, like, we're very close. Like, he comes home from school and he lays across the foot of my bed and we chop it up for about an hour. And he's just telling me anything that's going on in his life that day, or recapping from the weekend or whatever. We are extremely close, and we always have been. We always have been. And, it's kind of like what we talk about in the book. Part of legacy isn't just what you leave your children financially, it's what you leave them spiritually, emotionally, educationally. It's what you pass down to them, because essentially we're designing human beings when we have children, so we put a lot into our kids, and we take every opportunity in our lives to teach them something. If something goes wrong, if mommy and daddy are arguing, and they hear it, we know they're in their rooms and they might hear it. After we're done and we're all settled, we might call them in and explain to them what we were arguing about. And if one of us was in a position to apologize, I might say, well, daddy apologized. Or I might say, well, mommy apologized because, mommy reacted too harshly to something that daddy said or whatever. We take every opportunity that we can to teach our kids, because that's the only way that people learn. And, that's how you nurture. That's how you nurture. So when, as related to relationships, my daughter has said several times, like, if I don't see that magic with another guy that you have with daddy, like, I don't want it. Like, if it can't be a relationship like you and daddy's, like, I don't want it. And to be honest with you, it's good and it's not. It's kind of like a gift and a curse. It's like sabotaging a lot of her relationships, because she's like, yeah, I don't laugh and joke and play with him the same way that you and daddy do. Like, I can't see myself play fighting with him and wrestling and, putting him in a headlock. Like, I can't see it, so he can't be the one. And I'm like, no, babes, like, you have to find your own magic. The two of you might be able to share something that maybe me and daddy wouldn't be able to share. Every relationship is unique and you have to figure out your own magic. And that's why magic is part of the title, because we wholeheartedly believe in that, like that special something that exists between you and another human being that only you and that other human being can have together.
But we have like I said, but our relationship is a lot different. Like, my wife would be out, and when she comes back, my daughter and I are in bed cuddling, watching TV. Like, that's the relationship we have. My wife's like, all right, get out. And she's like, no, I'm watching TV. Like, that's the relationship.
I'm like, Maddie, get out.
Like,
that's my spot.
I'll get tickets to the game, and I'll be like, Maddie, what you doing? All right, let's go. I'm picking you up at 6. And she'd be like, you didn't want to take me to the game?
Exactly.
You think I would want to go to the game? I'm liver. But that's the relationship, which is dope.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And the good thing about that for both of you is that it's going to be very difficult for her to find somebody. And I mean that in a good way, because she's never going to settle for anything less. Her expectations are always going to shoot for the moon. And that's really good.
Yeah.
That's a blessing. People always say girls with good daddies and mommies, they're like so hard to please. But I'm like, the right man will do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Now, the Casey crew is what you call your 6 kids, the group of 6, the Casey crew. And you guys share a lot of advice about, your parenting skills. But what is the most valuable piece of advice someone has shared with you regarding parenting?
That's a good question. Advice that I've received regarding parenting.
I think my dad always says, be firm but fair.
Yeah.
Which is always stuck with me when it comes to the kids, especially with discipline. Firm and fair. I think always keep God first. Introduce them to God earlier than Gia and I don't want to say we're introduced, but we're introduced to God. We always believed in God, but it didn't become, I would say, as much realer until,
it didn't become a part of our marriage.
Until about maybe 10, 11, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
I think those two for myself. What about you?
My mom always told me that you allow your children to be who they are. Do not try to change your children. A little while ago, I said that we design children. Design in the sense of their morals and kind of maybe sculpt the way that they love and show love and things like that. And it doesn't just go for children. I think it goes for people. It goes for your partner. Like, we should never really try to change who someone is at their core. So if, I have a child that, wants to seek a certain career path that maybe I'm not too thrilled about, I know that I have to allow my child to follow that dream, or if they have a sexual orientation, you just have to always support your child and hold them up and lift them up to be whomever or whatever they want to be. So I was taught to love unconditionally and wholly with my children.
I love that. I mean, when you've done your part, you've raised them in your house for however long, you have to send them out to the world and just trust that, you did the best that you could do. So,
but they can home. they can always come back home. They can always lean back on their mom and dad, So that's how we are. Like my daughter could live with us till she's 40.
My parents are the same way. They don't want me to go anywhere. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm fine with it too.
I love it. And at any point in your relationship, I know a lot of, relationships go through this. I talked to my parents about their relationship. Was pride and ego ever an issue? And if so, how did you overcome that?
Yes. And before you do that, I want to say I commend you, right? And maybe Gia is different, but a lot of times it's difficult to talk to our parents about their relationship, about their trials and tribulations, how they were. I never did. Like, that's why when our relationship, it was kind of like, I didn't have an instruction manual because I never spoke to my parents about their relationship. When I was being raised, it was like you stay out of grown people's business. So I never had. So the fact that you did put you a step above everybody already. But to answer your question, yes, we have a chapter in the book called Right Fighting, right? Now, right fighting is if you're in a relationship and you're arguing with your spouse or the person you're in a relationship with, you should be arguing for understanding. That's what you should be doing. But me and Gia, we were arguing to win. So it's like, it didn't matter what it took. I wanted to win. It didn't matter how far I had to exaggerate, how far I had to go down the line.
How far he had to lie.
I wasn't going to say lie, but how far I had to lie. I was going to do it to win. And that's just who I was. It's like, she could be like, yeah, but you got, 1,000 pair of sneakers. I said, well, you got 20,000 pair of shoes. I seen them. I would lie. But it got to the point where it was like, we realized that doesn't do anything but hurt our relationship, right? If we got to argue or not an understanding or a disagreement, we should be not arguing, but having conversations to meet in the middle, right? Because we should be on the same team, right?
For the greater good.
Right.
That's really what it should be about. It should be about achieving the greater good without pride, without ego involved. Just being able to be accountable and apologize when you're wrong and realize that doesn't make you weaker, that actually makes you stronger, that you can say, you know what? I was wrong in this situation. Forgoing your ego and that pride is a sign of strength.
Absolutely. So that's where we are. I was a right fighter. I was the majority right fighter. Whatever I had to do to win an argument, I would do. And
I put on my boxing gloves too. I'm guilty. I the same thing. We were both equal in our desire to simply win, but it was catastrophic to our relationship because every argument wound up being unsolved, and we would leave with greater resentment towards the other than when we started because of all of the low blows that would be delivered during that disagreement, during that pursuit of winning. It just, every time that, you have a disagreement, you just get lower and lower and lower. Meanwhile, you're trying to reach higher peaks, and we weren't achieving that.
Right. That's such a Virgo thing. Yes.
You must have dated some Virgos before.
No, my father is a Virgo. My mother is a Leo. Oh. So imagine that.
When was your dad born?
Jamaica.
No. What day? September what?
Oh, so August 27th.
August 27th. Also, and where is your mother born? Is your mother American or Jamaican?
My mom is from the Bahamas, and she's July 31st.
Okay, yeah, because she's Jamaican too. So sometimes
I can hear it.
It's difficult sometimes arguing with them Jamaican and them Dantings. And sometimes it's a little difficult.
I cannot.
It absolutely is. So I get it, but they're both Caribbean. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a lot. And with being public figures and having your life in the center, obviously, of the public eye, how do you all maintain your mental health?
You know what? Sometimes I'm a Virgo, so I am emotional. So I like to attack.
You're really on this Virgo thing, huh?
Yeah. Okay. Maybe it's not a Virgo. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But
it might just be you.
I am I'm an attacker, and I'm a vengeful person, right? So if you go at me and my family, my first emotion is to attack back. My second emotion is after I attack back, I want revenge. I want to see blood. But I'm working on that now where Because sometimes I overdo it. And
he is working on it. I have to say.
Sometimes I overdo it, and I had to realize that's what social media is for. It wasn't started for that. It was started for a place for, for fun and for people to meet. But now it's a place where people want to push your buttons. They want to see the nasty in everything, right? We could have a perfect interview and then somebody be like, but Envy had a booger in his nose. But that's just how people are, and we realize that. So for myself, I don't let it affect me. It doesn't affect me anymore like it used to. Before, it would affect me all day long. I'd be on Instagram, social media, Facebook, anything you could possibly name, Black Planet, MySpace. I'd be going back and forth. Your mother, you this, you that. But now it's to a point where I'm like, it doesn't affect me. People are going to have their opinions. It is what it is. Some people are going to like you. Some people are going to hate you. And some people don't even care. So Gia, she's good with it. Like it doesn't affect her in any which way, but she enjoys it. Like she enjoys when people say foul things. She enjoys when people say good things. That's her. Me, I can't. I'm good.
Yeah, tell me why. Yeah, tell me why you enjoy that. I feel like there's
to be honest with you, and I don't know if anyone's asked us this question, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I love myself. I love myself. I love my family. I love my husband. I have a great life that is filled with love. My children, every time I walk into that door, we call them the babies. They come bust down the stairs and through their bedrooms doors like they didn't see me that morning, and it's hugs and kisses and love and light, and just our house is magical. And it's funny because anyone who comes to visit, anyone who comes to our house is like, wow, like there's something special going on in here. It's just so filled with love. And I won't allow myself to be brought down by thoughts, feelings, or opinions of others, unless I've done something wrong to deserve that bad commentary. Now, if I've done something wrong, then I don't even need them. I might have enough disappointment in myself. Do you know what I mean? But if I feel as though I'm living right and I'm honest and I love people, I love God, I love my family, and I'm doing right in this world, nobody or nothing can bring me down. And there are, negative comments, and there are, all types of things. People are going to call you out your name and assume that they know you and make up stories and do all types of things. But I'll read it and be like, oh, well, that's interesting, and then I'll go on with my day. Just, I feel, I feel, and it's funny because something happened today where something came up and Rashawn and I were talking about it. And I thought to myself, like, damn, Guy, the degree to which you don't care might be a little strange because it was something that kind of ruffled his feathers, which might be the reason why when you asked the question, he got a little riled up. I was like, ooh, that's a little bit of extra sauce, but okay. I was just like, wow, and I try to teach my children that. We try to instill that in my older two children. Like, you cannot be wrapped up in what other people think, because if you do, you will be beholding to them. That means that the outside world will control your life. And if you read in the book, it's very important for me to control me. Mm-hmm. And that's it.
I love that. You know what that's called? Yeah, that's called grace.
It's called
grace.
Okay, I use that word. I never really thought about it in that sense, though. So, okay, I have to process that. That's called grace. Okay.
You have it towards others and you have it towards yourself.
I experience that word when I seek to show grace towards others. I never really put it in the perspective of having grace towards myself. Mm-hmm. You taught me something.
I'm happy. I'm happy.
Thank you.
I'm learning a lot from the both of you. And what would you all call this phase in your life right now? What would you title it?
The ever after. The ever after. Listen, right now, where we are, I never ever thought that we could get to. And it's not as though I saw this goal and I said, all right, well, we'll never reach that. I didn't know that goal existed. Before we went through our biggest trial and tribulation, I thought that our life was amazing. I was enjoying my life. I had 2 little children. I had my husband, and he was an amazing husband. He was an amazing father. And I thought that was it. But who knew that there was so much missing? I had no idea because there was nothing really to weigh it against. And now when we're on the other side of a lot of those things, and we're experiencing each other and experiencing what we refer to as the true meaning of love. And we both have our own individual and separate definitions. I think we both kind of look at it a little bit differently, but at the root of it, it's the same. To really know what that is and what that feels like, there's nothing better. I can say I'm going to die with this person, and we're going to live out our ever after together.
I love it. I love it. And I have 2 more questions, then I'm going to let you guys go. I talk about this with my parents. Like I said, I speak to them a lot, but how do you guys kind of keep the romance and the spark in the relationship going? I mean, I know it's something I'm going to want to ask them for advice later on when I'm married, but I know it's just it can be a challenge when you have kids and you have a family and you have your career. So how do you guys manage that?
For us, I would say that the best thing about us is we like the same things. It's hard, I'm sure, for a couple that maybe one might like this and she likes this and they never really bond on that thing that they both like together. For instance, there's nothing that I like that she doesn't like. So if I want to watch the basketball game, she's staying with me in the room and she's watching the game. If she wants to watch some crazy, corny reality show, Bachelor, Bachelorette, what's the ultimate thing you was watching the other day? The Ultimatum.
I'm watching that now.
Housewives of Beverly Hills, Orange County, New Jersey, New York, Potomac, all that. I watch it with her and I'm engaged with her. Not because I necessarily want to, but because she's into it. And if she's into it, I want to be into it. She doesn't care about the Knicks, the Nets, the Giants, the Yankees. She don't care about none of that. She could care less about a Porsche 918, a Ford GT, or a Lamborghini STO. She does not care. Baby, whatever. But because I'm into it and I'm like, babe, I want to go to the dealership, she'd be like, all right, I'll put on clothes. Let's go. But she's into it because I'm into it. And that makes it better. So a date night for us, which we do a lot, is 8:00, the kids go to sleep. We get naked in the bed. She rubs my back. We cuddle.
We grab the remote.
We watch Netflix. And that is date night. And we enjoy each other. That keeps our intimacy up. It keeps us fresh. It keeps us laughing. It keeps us loving. We don't have to go out to be intimate. We don't have to be intimate. We do it within our house. And then when I have shows and parties and I'm traveling, she comes with me. And then it's just like, we're being intimate and having sex in every different state all the time. It's a new location all the time. Sometimes it's at the Ritz. Sometimes it's at the Four Seasons. Sometimes it's in the Red Roof Inn. I'm just joking. But
that was in college in the Red Roof Inn in Virginia.
But it doesn't matter. We just really enjoy each other and enjoy our time with each other.
My quick answer to your question is that you don't have to seek to keep it spicy when you really love and enjoy each other. Because like he said, intimacy doesn't just have to start when the lights go off and the door gets locked. It can start early in the day with a compliment or, some type of significant attention or, just someone rubbing your back or rubbing your head or giving you a nice tender kiss on the cheek or something like that. Those are things that are exchanged just in love. And then when it's time to be, physical or whatever, it all pours into that because you were getting geared up the entire day because someone has been pouring into you the entire day. So when you really love someone, those things come naturally and then the intimacy comes naturally. So it's not something that we have to deliberately work on to be like, damn, like what am I going to do so I don't have to be bored of this dude? Like it's the same thing night after night. It's not like that. It's just, it comes naturally is what I'm trying to say.
That authenticity, organic. We love that. We love that. And when you're in that space with somebody, it still can be a little hard to, share your insecurities. So what type of space do you create for your significant other to feel comfortable, sharing that part of themselves that they're not that confident in?
Well, for us, it's a little different because we've been together since 16 and 15. So we grew up with each other. We know each other's insecurities. We know what bothers each other. We talk about it. What most people don't know with our relationship, and people say it all the time, well, my girl's my best friend, but she's truly my best friend. So when we go through things or we go through problems or we go through situations, we're there to fall back on each other. So it's like whatever it may be, if it's who knows, we talk to each other. She's the one that's going to build me up when I have those insecurities. I'm the one that's going to build her up when she has those insecurities. And if your relationship isn't like that, you have to reevaluate your relationship, because like when I say she's my best friend, when I go to work and I'm on my way to the Breakfast Club in the morning, I'm usually talking to her on the phone. Then when I get to work and I finish the Breakfast Club and I'm on my way to my office, I'm talking to her on the phone. If I'm going to the store to buy some jeans or to buy some clothes or to buy some kicks, I'm taking a picture. I'm like, yo, babe, what about this? You like this? Babe, what you think about this car? And she's doing the same thing. And, you know, some of the stuff I know, she's like, I don't know why he keeps sending me cars. But like, you know, she sends me, I don't want to say stupid, you know, here's a picture of furniture. Here's a picture of a lighting fixture.
The lighting fixture,
Here's
yes.
a picture of a couch. Here's a picture of this. Here's a picture. I'm sitting there like, but I'm into it. Like even with, you know, people follow us for the 12 days of Christmas. And they know that she likes Birkins and she likes bags and shoes. What people don't know is I'm the one that usually buys those bags and shoes for her. I'm the one that goes to the store and I know what she likes. I'm like, oh, my wife look dope in this. Give me that one. Oh,
They'll know all the new colors before I even knew that they came out.
Right. I think Gia probably purchased where she went to the store and bought a Birkin, probably 2. Right?
Yeah, maybe.
And she probably has close to 70.
That's not necessary.
And I got them all. I know the colors when the colors come out. I have the relationship with the people from Hermes and the different ones. And shout to Nisa, shout to her. Like I have those relationships because I go there all the time. But I'm excited about it because I'm excited to shop for her. I'm excited to say, damn, I can't wait to see you buy those shoes, that dress. I can't wait to see you to buy that or that. Like I'm excited. And that's how I think you should be. And the same thing with her. When she's out and she sees something from me, she comes home, babe, I bought you this jacket. I think this jacket's gonna look good on you. Hey, babe, I bought you these kicks. Hey, babe, I bought you this shirt. I think this shirt's gonna look great on you. Hey, like, but that's how I think a relationship should be.
For me, to answer your question, Rashawn touched on it. It's about always building your partner up. I feel like it's very important to be that soft place where your partner can always land. You know, you create an environment where there's no judgment. And it doesn't mean that you can't disagree. And it doesn't mean that you can't set them straight or point out something that they may have done or said that's wrong, but it has to come from a place where it's constructive, where there's no judgment. Your partner should feel as though they can tell you anything that's going on in their lives, that there shouldn't be any secrets, you know, and that you protect their ego, that you protect everything that they hold near and dear. You protect their emotions. We didn't always protect each other's emotions. This is something that we grew into. It's a place that we've evolved to because we definitely didn't do that before. And, you know, it's kind of interesting when you look at a lot of relationships, like how many friends do you have or have you had where they talk about their man and something might have happened, and the way they're talking, it comes across you like their man's their enemy. You know, like bleep this bleep. You know, he gonna do well, bleep him. Well, I'm about to go. It's like, whoa, like y'all acting like y'all hate each other, but you're in a relationship together as a choice. You have to reevaluate that way of thinking. I've been guilty. You know, I'm speaking from a place of like I've been there. You know what I mean? But the obvious makes you want to say like, whoa, that's my person. And I'm talking about them, like my mom would say, like a dog in the street. No, when you have that person, you respect them at all costs. I have close girlfriends, but I would never, and none of my friends can ever say that I've ever spoken out of turn about Rashawn. Even in our worst, I have never disrespected him to my friends. I might have thought the worst in my mind. I might have been cussing him out in my mind, but out of my mouth, I would never disrespect him. You know, and it's funny because people talk about us writing the book and I'm humiliating him when we talk about like, you know, different parts, you know, that's like the headlines and whatnot. But hello, like we wrote a book together and it's in the spirit of sharing and community to teach, to show, to provide a reference point, a guide for people. It was deliberate. It was intentional. We wrote those chapters together. There was no, you know, me trying to emasculate him or any of these things. I feel like in the book, truth be told, it's kind of like we're sacrificial lambs, you know, where it's like, I'm like, okay, I'll be a martyr for this cause because I feel like the greater good is in the pages. Like, we'll take a couple of shots, you know, in a month it'll be over and no one will care. But guess what? The people that bought the book will have the book, and those lessons will continue on. And maybe those women can teach their daughters, those men can teach their sons. And then there's some sort of legacy in that. And that also kind of goes back to your other question about not caring what people think, you know, because none of that matters. We always have to step back and think, like, what really matters in our lives, you know?
Absolutely. I think you said it best. Those who are reading it and taking the good out of it and taking the lessons out of it, they're going to benefit, you know, and they're going to take positive things out of it. So it's very beneficial that people share their stories, because it's not all golden. It's not.
That's right.
It gets nasty. It gets ugly. And that's where it becomes reality. And that's where people can be relatable to it. So thank you guys for that. We appreciate it. Of course, finish this sentence. This book is good for someone or people who
Well, looking to get in a relationship, or aspiring to be better in life. What about you?
Well, this is an important question. I don't want to just shoot out anything. This book is good for people who want to become self-actualized, want to become their best selves, particularly within the scope of a relationship, whether the relationship is with another person or whether the relationship is solely between them and themselves.
I love that. Thank you guys. You guys are amazing. I feel like I was talking to like a younger version of my parents.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.